Hey there, beautiful people. Happy Friday. It's Jennifer Kramer Lewis here with Big Fat Lie Friday. Today we have such a juicy lie. Do you have to be likable to be paid? And, if you're likable, will you be paid? Is that some sort of guarantee for you that if you're a likable being, will you be paid? Oh my goodness. So if this is the first time you've seen my face, I want to see hashtag newbie in the chat, NEWBIE. And if you've seen my face before, I want to see some thumbs up. If you love Big Fat Lie Friday, I want to see I Heart Big Fat Lie Friday or I Heart BFLF. So what is Big Fat Lie Friday, and why do I actually care about lies? Well, one of the things that I have always had, as far back as I can remember, I've always known what the lies were that people were telling themselves that were stopping them from being happy, stopping them from being wealthy, stopping them from having so much delight and so much satisfaction and so much success in their lives. And yeah, nobody wants to hear that stuff from a 5 or 6-year-old. So it wasn't that popular. So, however, I did actually not stop getting that information. I get the information all the time from all sorts of different sources. And so today we're going to go into the lie of popularity and how if you're popular, if you're well received, if you're likable, then you can get paid. But before we do that, I want to share something super cool with you guys. Super freaking cool. So this week I got a message that said, "Hi, Jennifer. My guides told me to contact you. So here I am reaching out. I'd like to learn more about what you do. Your pitch intrigued me about delight in business, and you've been on my radar ever since. I haven't actually been delighted with my business of late. Give me a shout out when you've got a moment." Oh my goodness. So anyways, I had a strategy session with this lady. And so the day of our strategy session, the spirit of her grandmother was like right there when I woke up in the morning. I was like, oh my goodness, you are the guide, aren't you? And she was just like right in my face. And so I was like, okay, old lady, you need to back off. I do realize that there's no time where you are. You just know that me and this lady are going to meet, and you are definitely wanting to talk to the person that I am meeting with today, aren't you? And it was so funny. It was her, the grandmother, and the grandfather. And I sort of I looked energetically at the grandfather, and he was like, well, like, I can't help you here, lady. It was so fun and funny. So I did actually have to tell her, back off. We're not meeting right now. But as I went out to my studio, she actually took a bee and she put a bug in my ear twice. She made this bee bump into me twice, and that's never happened before. So interesting. So part of being a sensitive being is that I do receive messages from all over the place. It can be from your ancestors, because she didn't actually tell me the lady with a body. She just said guide. She didn't say who. And then when I woke up in the morning, I was like, oh my goodness, yes, it's definitely your grandmother. And I got a whole bunch of different information about this lady because she was definitely talking to me. And yeah, so that was super cool and super interesting. So I get messages from all over. I get them from ancestors. I get them from guides. I get them from angels. I get them from earth spirits. I get them from the land, especially land will talk to me. And also financial flows, the reason why we have money is so that we can nurture our bodies and so that we can have fun and delight in our bodies, not so that we can give it all away to some charity. It's actually so that we can have fun and enjoy our lives. And the more we have fun and enjoy our lives and make money, the more that we encourage the people around us to enjoy their lives and have fun and make money. And then we become almost like a closed system of people who are having fun and enjoying our lives and making money. And so, one of my favorite books is Power versus Force, and it's by Dr. David Hawkins. And so there's a part of the book that actually talks about one person resonating at joy or delight actually raises up, I think it's like 1 million people, 1 million people. So if you can keep yourself resonating at joy, then your being, your energetic being, can raise maybe 1 million people. I haven't opened that book, but the download is. Somebody will probably correct me. I'm probably, moving a comma there. It might be 100,000 people, but I think it's actually 1 million people. So why would you care about this? Well, if it's you that has the ability to raise the frequency of people just by having a better life, wouldn't you want to do it? And business is such a cool way of having a better life, you guys. It's such a cool way of having a better life. Like, there's no other way on the planet for you to bring in the amount of money that you can by owning your own business. You may be a professional and, have to work very, very long hours to be able to have the same net income that someone who owns their business does. And so today we're going to talk about being likable. Oh my goodness. So what did I promise you? If they like me, they will pay me. For a huge part of the population, the desire to be liked and fit in is an overwhelming thing. It's overwhelming. And it overwhelms everything that they have to say that's of value. Think about it. If you want to be popular, you better not say anything controversial. Better not say anything off color. Better not have an opinion. Or is that actually true, you guys? Is it true? Are you trying to be a sorority girl or a frat guy and fit in? Or are you willing to just be what you came here to be? And if you are an outspoken person and you're stuffing that down, I'm here to tell you guys, that's going to end up biting you right in the ass. People end up becoming quite ill if they stuff their feelings, especially if they have a lot to say and they stop themselves from saying it, then they might end up with something in their throat. They might end up with something in their lungs. They might have something show up in their guts because they're consuming their feelings rather than expressing them. And I'm not advocating that you just go off on people half-cocked. What I am advocating, that if you have something of value to say, if you have something of value to teach, if you have an interesting and original point of view, then people want to hear it. People want to hear it. They don't want your vanilla, maybe like real vanilla with some cherries in it or something like that, but not boring. We're so bored of boring, you guys. So, what's the science behind being likable? Well, it's something called biomimetic mimicry, and we're born with it, and it allows us to mimic in the sense that we learn how to walk by mimicking. We learn how to talk by mimicking. We learn how to even pick up a cup or a fork or play with our toys by mimicking. And it's an evolutionary process. And so when it becomes innate, then it becomes biomimetic mimicry. And so how we speak, how we what words we use, whether we smile when we're talking, like a bunch of different things. You'll notice in cultural groups how people hold their forks, or, how they talk over top of one another like puppies. There's a bunch of different ways that we use biomimetic mimicry. And that's the science behind being likable. So we tend to like people who are like us. However, if you are, the biggest fish in the pond, it's time to get another pond. So you may be the most likable person because you are the most well-known person. And if you don't have something of value to present, something interesting for people to hold on to, then you're not going to be all that memorable either. You may have the best funnel in the whole entire world, but, if you're just regurgitating a point of view that you had 5 years ago, or even 10 years ago, or even 20 years ago, you're going to have to find a lot of people at the top of the funnel who haven't heard that point of view. So, do you want to be likable, or is it some sort of unconscious biomimetic mimicry? And does that actually work for you right now? Are you enjoying it? Is it fun for you? And who actually likes you right now? Like, if you can count on 10 fingers the amount of people who actually like you right now, does that work for you? Do you need to be likable in order to be paid? Like, can you think of a bunch of people? I can, off the top of my head, think of a bunch of people who aren't particularly likable, but they're very wealthy. And so, it could be, and I do notice this quite a bit more with women than with men. Men don't, in many cases, worry all that much about being likable. It's kind of okay to be an asshole if you're a guy, but for a woman to be an asshole, or, like, what's the woman version of asshole? Kind of like a diva? Maybe a diva? Yeah, so it's kind of not okay for a female to be an asshole or demanding. And so here's the thing, though. If you are willing to be demanding of a new way of being, if you are willing to be demanding, just for example, I'm very demanding with my clients about the amount of kindness that they receive from the universe and that they express to their own bodies. And so when we build business models together for them and ask for like longevity, we're looking for what is the most kind thing for their body to express in the business. Because there's 1,000 different things you can do for business, guys, 10,000 different things. But if it's not kind for you, if it's not a kind business model, then don't freaking do it. I remember there were these class models that people were going live every day for 30 days and doing these energy polls or whatever they were calling them. And I thought, I don't want to be going live and having to put mascara on every day for 30 days. That's just, I won't do it. And it's so funny, like a bunch of people ask me, they're like, when is yours starting? And I'm like, you guys, I'm not going to do it. I'm never going to do that business model because it's not kind to me. So if I was worried about being likable, if I was worried about like creating some sort of business model where, people wanted to pay me, $30 or something for me to go live every day for 30 days, I think I probably would have just got a horrible cold so that I could sleep in. Because that's just not what I want to do with my body. Like, what I want to do is like have really remarkable relationships with people, not go live for 15 minutes and broadcast. That doesn't make me happy at all. So think about yourself. Like, what is a sustainable business model for you? And if you weren't worried about being likable or creating a product that people were, there was a demand for it, but it wasn't a product that actually worked for you. Like, where's the deep level of kindness in that? Even if you're trying to be likable, there's probably not much kindness in it for you to be likable, unless there's a way that you felt like you were likable. I don't know. Can you guys just smell the amount of BS in that? It's just so, so weird. Yeah. So here's another question. Who's looking to work with you, and is being likable the number one thing that they're looking for in a person who does what you do? Just for example, so I do business consulting. I help set up business models. I do strategy. I help people on launch products and projects. There's a bunch of different things that I do, but the number one thing I do is I help people identify new profitability in their business when they're undergoing a growth crisis. So whatever the growth crisis is, too many clients, not enough clients, the clients that they're working with, they've kind of played them out, or maybe they don't want to do that business model anymore. Maybe they were doing those, $30 show up every day for 30 days and now they're like exhausted, and then you want to do something completely different. So think about it for yourself. Is being likable the number one thing that people are asking of you? They're like, oh, I really like her, or are you willing to be the kind of person that is demanding and, really has the client's best interest at heart when they don't have their own best interest at heart? They're like, oh yeah, I'll do that thing where I show up every day for 30 days because that's what people are asking. And, for me, I won't stand for it. If I had the idea that they really got energized by showing up every day for 30 days, for months on end, then of course I wouldn't challenge them on that. If the sense, my read of their body and my read of what their business was doing and where their business would like to go, and, talking to their guides and talking to whoever else wants to talk to me, I got that was a sustainable, healthy, delightful, igniting, interesting, and energizing business model. Well, then of course, freaking go for it. But, I don't know. Like, it's so funny. I've had so many different moments where I had a choice of, doing the likable and popular thing and doing the thing that actually created more. And I'll tell you, I've always advocated for what has created more. And I've had people who were like, super fuck you. And then, 2 years later, 5 years later, 10 years later, come back and say, you know what? You were the only person who told me the truth. You were the only person who actually pointed me back at what I really needed and what choices I could make for myself that, were healthy for me, that were delightful for me, that raised my frequency, that took care of my body, that wasn't depleting my bank account, all of those things. So yeah, let's ask that question again. Who is looking to work with you, and is being likable the number one thing that they're looking for in a person who does what you do? So you might be a lawyer. Does anybody really need a likable lawyer, or do they actually want a shark? Or maybe you're the kind of lawyer that like puts your, how Beyonce has Sasha Fierce. Well, maybe, you need that shark costume that you put on when you go into the courtroom. And yeah, you don't really want a likable lawyer. You want one that'll get the job done. And in a lot of cases, you don't really want a likable consultant either. You want somebody who will advocate for you to make the choices that, aren't the easy choices, but they're the choices that have longevity. Longevity for you, like sustainable business practices for you, because you wouldn't be hiring a consultant if what was working was working. Like I was talking about earlier, the lady who reached out this week, her business wasn't delightful. It wasn't fun. It wasn't interesting. She was feeling like she was, swimming in quicksand. And, in a lot of cases, those are the types of people who reach out to me. They're not like, hey, Jennifer, my business is healthy. Let's do some healthier business. In most cases, they wait until, they're being, chased or drowned or, some other not really great thing. In this lady's case, it was pretty cool because it was her grandmother who had passed over, who was like, you really need to talk to this Jennifer chick. She seems to have it down on, what would be delightful. And she also seems to have a real attachment to the land. And so those were a couple of things that I'm pretty sure that's why her grandma that had passed over told her, and good thing she listened. So what's the next question? How is being likable? Oh, how being likable is actually driving people away from your business. Yes, right now it's driving people away from working with you. Well, here, you guys, you need to have an interesting point of view. Maybe even a controversial thing to say about business. And for me, it's that business should be delightful. You should be able to be like, oh yeah, I love being in my office. I love talking to my clients. I love doing what I do. I love, if you have a physical product, you've got to love your physical products. If you are an artist, you've got to love the end creation of what it is that you're doing. And whether you're an artist with, people, places, or things, the end creation really has to, give you a deep level of turn on in your body, where at the end of the day, you're just so proud of yourself and what you've accomplished. And not every day. I mean, there might be some days where you're like, well, that was a shit show. But if it turns out that you're spending so much time worrying about being likable that you're actually driving people away because you're like, you're like a labradoodle wagging, please do business with me. Please do business with me. I think labradoodles get slapped just as often as they get pet because, they're just right in your face. So what do I really want you to receive from this? What I want you to receive from this is that it's sort of a closed loop, you guys. The more that you do that's truly delightful to you and for you, that includes your body and takes good care of your body on a daily basis, the more your chi builds up and the more likable or mysterious even that you are, the more people are going to want to do business with you anyways. And so if you're chasing after them, hey, do you like me so far? Hey, do you like me so far? Hey, how do you like me? Then you don't allow for a separation so that magnet can start to pull again. So you remember being a little kid and playing with magnets. Well, the one side of the magnet repelled and the other side of the magnet close the gap. And so if you don't pull the magnets away, then you don't feel that attraction. And so part of pulling the magnets away is having a controversial point of view about something, having an original way of framing something. So what is that for you? For me, it's helping people create businesses that are delightful, that include all aspects of their life and their body, and something new. I love helping people build something completely new into their business that they're like, oh my goodness, I have thought about that for years and I've never actually done it. So that's one of the things that I super love. And so I don't worry a lot about being liked. Not these days, but I'll tell you what, it may be a growth opportunity for you. Like right now, like out of 10, how much do you worry about being liked? How much? Is it like 4 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 10 out of 10? And does that actually add to your future? Because if you're worried about people liking you, if you're worried about being well received, then you have to wait for those people to receive you. And if they're not receiving you, then the data that you're getting is that you're not very likable. And that's not very kind. I would like you to be so much more kind to yourself. So so much more kind to yourself. So if any of this has been interesting to you, if you think of someone in particular, maybe you might want to point them to this video. If you want to like this video, that would be awesome. If you want to share this video, I would totally appreciate that. Type a little something at the top that you got out of this video. And I also do have an invitation for you to join the Joyful Entrepreneur community. We are all about building businesses that are truly joyful and delightful. And if, like my lady that reached out to me this week, you have been thinking about working with me, you're interested in working with me, then I would recommend that you reach out via DM and say, hey, I'd love to have a chat with you, because I would love to have a chat with you. I think I have 1 or 2 spots on my calendar that you can grab for next week, starting on Tuesday. And I'd love to have a chat with you. So thanks, guys. I am going to sign off. Happy Friday. Have an amazing weekend. And please make sure to do something completely delightful just for you, just for fun. And see you next week. Don't forget to hit the get reminder when I go live again next week on Big Fat Lie Friday. And hey, if you have a big fat lie that you would love me to riff off on, I would love to riff off on it. So maybe even type that in the comments what your big fat lie is that's been bothering you. Take care, guys. Hope to hear from you soon. Bye-bye.